Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. This is actually one of my favorite episodes of the TED Show that we do. Heroes Always Welcome, where we talk with veterans and veteran organizations. You know, veterans are near and dear to my heart. I have a soft spot for them. I feel like they made such a big sacrifice and continue to make sacrifices. And so anything that we can do to help them circumvent the system and get them the services they need, or when they transition out, help the veterans get into the crazy real world of civilian life. And today I have a dear friend on. This is Greg Henry. He's retired now.
Woo!
God bless him. And Greg's going to come on and share his journey, talk about FAVOB, which if you don't know what that is, it's the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, and it's an amazing group, and we're just happy to have Greg here. Welcome, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, very well. This side is this retirement stuff is pretty good. I mean, it's been a transition, of course.
Of course. Well, you were in. So let's talk about it. Tell them a little bit about you and how long you served, and you just recently retired.
I'm like still in that transition. I think my last day actually is January 31st.
Wow.
That's my last official date in the Army. So I'm from Jamaica originally. I was born in Jamaica, came to the United States. I actually went from Jamaica to Springfield, Massachusetts. So that's two different. I mean, it's freezing cold in Massachusetts. So
no doubt. Oh my God.
That
Why?
wasn't, my mom, that's where we went. That's where we went. I'm the youngest out of 5 boys. I had my son when I was 19. I think that's when I decided to move to Florida because Disney World.
Disney World, yeah.
Yeah. So I came down here and worked construction, where a recruiter approached me and said, "Hey, you want to join the Army?" I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. He's like, "Well, what'd you see yourself doing when you graduated high school?" And I told him I wanted to be a cop. And it wasn't for wanting to be a cop to do anything great. It was because cops used to chase me. So I decided, hey, can't beat them, join them, right?
So I love that. Oh my God, that's awesome.
So I actually joined the Army, the National Guard, and used my GI Bill to go through the police academy. And then I got on with Altamont PD here locally. And 9/11 happened right after. So right after 9/11 occurred, I went to drill sergeant school. They called me up to mobilize me to be a drill sergeant. That time I moved over to the reserves. So I was a drill sergeant at Fort Jackson for 3 years.
Wow.
And loved it. I wish I would have went active duty at the time, but I came back here for a short period of time and then deployed right after.
Wow. So
my first deployment was Kuwait, which I spent a year over there. And then on the way back, I did a tour in Jacksonville doing transportation, loading and unloading ships. Then I deployed to Haiti right after the earthquake in 2010. From there, I went to Guantanamo Bay, to Cuba. Then from Cuba to Wisconsin as a weapon instructor. And then from Wisconsin, that's when I got into recruiting. That was 2012.
Is that where you found? Is that to me? That seems like that's where you're at, man. You're amazing at recruitment.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. The crazy story about it is I didn't want to be a recruiter. Drill sergeants and recruiters don't get along, right? Because as a drill sergeant, you would see these soldiers come in. You're like, man, what is the recruiter sending me? You're like, So I had a sergeant major that said, he said, "You would be a good recruiter." And I said, "Sergeant major, I don't want to be a recruiter." So what he did was he kind of snuck around the back, behind my back, and got me into the AGR program, which at the time is full-time reserves. So he kind of then pulled some strings, but I told him, I said, "Sergeant, the only way I'll be a recruiter is so I can go to Florida." So he made it happen. So I got my first duty station was Ocala, Florida.
And what was the recruitment? Once you got into it, was it different than you expected? Was it hard? Tell us a little bit about that, because I think you do have to be a certain type of person to be able to recruit.
Well, I think so there's two kinds of recruiting, like recruitments. I say you can be DA selected where that branch decided, hey, you're going to be a recruiter, or you can volunteer. So when I got into recruiting, it wasn't hard. I think it was easier for me because I've been through so much already.
Right.
As a police officer, drill sergeant. So it was more of, I didn't want to be a recruiter that I'm not going to tell any kid or anybody I come across, I'm going to tell them the truth. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go. This is what basic training is like. I mean, I've had people that lost 60 pounds just to get in the Army, and they would come work out with me in the mornings.
Wow.
So I think I took it on because I have 4 kids. So my oldest son, he went to Bethune-Cookman on a ROTC scholarship. He's a captain in the Army Reserve now. Wow. And he's a cop in Orange County Sheriff's Office. So
good to know.
Yeah, a lot of the things. And my wife, she retired. She did 22 years and she's retired. So all of my kids kind of joined. But the part for me when I got into recruiting was the inner cities, right? So I every city that I've been through, I go into the inner cities to recruit because I saw them as myself and they can relate to me. No dad around, just single parent, and you're pretty much doing it on your own at school, friends, peer pressure, everything like that. So
that's awesome. That's a great insight. That's really cool. What was that like? Have you had people come back or you've seen them and you can tell that changed their lives?
So I still pretty much talk to most of my recruits. Like, even though they left, they can always reach out to me. A lot of them have my personal numbers now. Some have kids. And I'll tell you, for me, I think everything changed for me. My first cycle as a drill sergeant is literally everything changed. So I had a private, I'll never forget her name, Private Pointer, right? That's her last name. So my sergeant major at the time was like, hey, Sergeant Henry, I need you to train this soldier because this will be her third time moving into a different platoon because she's fought everywhere she's gone and they're ready to kick her out. So he said, if you can't train her, then nobody else can. So I said, okay, I got you. So I brought her in, and right off the rip, she got attitude. So I was like, all right, listen. I say, you're not going to talk to me, right? Your battle buddy is who you're going to talk to. So anytime you want to talk to me, you talk to your battle buddy, and your battle buddy is telling me what it is. And every day, I want your battle buddy to tell me something about you. New, nothing, just totally
Love
new.
So, that's awesome.
She was, she was a firecracker throughout. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of smoking sessions. But what happened at the end of graduation, it was family day. So you got family days on Wednesdays, graduations are always on a Thursday, you ship out on Friday. So on family day, I'm sitting in my office and here she comes in. And sometimes you got to know when to take the hat off, and sometimes you got to know when to be like, I'm in your face. Right. So when she kind of came in with her battle buddy, she started kind of crying. And I'm like, okay, what's going on, Crown? And she said, Joe, so I don't have any family here. Everybody done gave up on me, right? And she said, I tried to make you give up on me, but you didn't. You're the only one that kind of stuck with me throughout this whole thing. And I kind of told her, you can't tear up at the drill sergeant. At that point in time, you got to be like, all right, check it out. Stay with your battle buddy, go off and do what you need to do. But that changed how I did everything from then on. Like every cycle from then on, I had all my soldiers would sit in a room and I would say, look, get out a piece of paper and write something and tell me about yourself. And then I would read every single one of those papers because I couldn't train everybody the same.
Right.
So now I kind of knew some people I can yell at, some people I can't yell at because their family, where they're coming from, their dad might be abusive. You just never know what someone's going through. So it allowed me to be a successful drill sergeant at that time because now they felt like, oh, this drill sergeant really cares about me. He knows about me.
Yes.
Right. And I think when I got into recruiting, I did the same thing. Right. It was, I want to know your mom. I want to go to your dad. I want to go talk to your parents. So I would never talk to a kid without, hey, let me go talk to your parents first and then we'll see. And it always works because the parents already knew, okay, this person really wants to get my kid or take care of my son or my daughter or whatever it was. And I was just always successful in that sense because they felt like, okay, he's telling me everything. I mean, every Sunday, I'll tell you this, my whole time in recruiting, every Sunday at 4 o'clock, I was getting phone calls because they would get their phone back in basic training at about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I always get phone calls from somebody about that time, whether it's an up phone call saying, hey, I'm having a great time, or man, I hate this, I don't like this. And then I would always have to kind of bring him back to like, hey, this is easy. Everything in life is not going to come just like that. You got to figure this thing out. So
Interesting. First of all, I love that story. That's a story with heart. I like that a lot. A lot of times, the stereotypical drill sergeant or recruiter, you don't just hear that stuff, or at least you don't hear it talked about. So good for you. Was it hard when you to leave it? Do you miss it?
I think for me, the transition, because this all started October of last year, right? My transition took a long, like my leadership allowed me that time to transition because sometimes, the transition is very hard. I've seen like my wife gone through the transition and I kind of see where, like you getting all these phone calls, everybody's wanting you, hey, this, and this, and then it just stops.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I thought they needed me. Man, the Army couldn't go without me. That's literally the attitude you kind of have. My unit can't do this or can't do this without you. So I was fortunate enough to where I started my transition a year ago. So I've gone through I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, to where it's like,
it's very hard. One of the reasons I started this show, The Heroes Always Welcome, is because I was talking to so many vets who were struggling to figure out that role and that camaraderie and that structure and that order and whatever their title was, trying to figure out why it wasn't the same when they came back to civilian life. Corporate America didn't understand what to do with them. They were lost. And so there's definitely a difficulty for a lot of military, a lot of veterans who come out to try to figure out, like I had somebody on the show recently and they did something really crazy, like almost made the planes come in off the carrier ships, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do you do? How do you put that on a resume where some knucklehead Gen Z or millennial looks at it and goes, what the F is that?
Well,
so I think that they just struggle, and that's really, I love you sharing your story and the fact that that your wife went through it. You could see that. It's one of the reasons why we have do the show and why we try to tap into so many different resources, because it's not easy for most to make that transition out.
But I think the more I've gone through the ups and downs, I've had mentors like Randy Malden who kind of, he has a voice. He said, relax. And I'm like, all right, because I'll come in and be like, I think I'm going to do this. Because my goal was to go back to law enforcement and, keep doing what I do in the inner cities and things of that nature. But I think if I can, especially business owners, if I can give them any advice, it's like, anybody coming out of the service, it's more leadership.
Yes.
Once you make sergeant, then your MOS, your job doesn't really matter anymore. Now you're a leader. Now you have soldiers that you are sailors, airmen, whatever it is. Now you're in charge of them. You're dealing with their issues, what it is you're talking about. So it's more of that part of it. Like me, I was fortunate to be a drill sergeant. So I had 60 soldiers and I had to learn quickly, like, okay, they need everything every day from me. You know what I mean? Like, I got to go sick call. I need to, because accountability is the number one thing that we push, right? Right place, right time, right uniform. That's it. Everything else we can figure out. So as somebody coming out, and I used this analogy the other day, I said, most military that we retire and we get a job, the only job you will find another service member that got out and is working somewhere is another DOD job. The civilian job, the first one is never in, ever. They always quit. They always quit because they never understood. It's like, hey, I'm gonna treat you like everybody else.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, you got a skill and I'm going to let you run with that skill and do whatever you need to do. I'm just going to say, these are your parameters, make it happen. And I'll tell you, every time, if they do that with soldiers, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't micromanage.
You have such a positive attitude. Well, the first time we met, I knew I was going to like you because you have a positive energy, and that's so important. And the work that you did is so important. The ripple effect, I guarantee you, of the lives that you've impacted because of the way you approach things is just powerful, my friend. So kudos to you. Let's talk about really quick. No, not really quick, but I want to talk about FAVOB. You took that over, sort of, the local chapter. So give us a little history on FAVOB and what your role is and what your vision is kind of for FAVOB.
So FAVOB is when I first met, I think it was Justin I met, and we started talking about like the FAVOB, being at the Citrus Club and seeing it. He kind of gave me the history about the owner or the guy that started it. He was in a parking lot after he got out and he was getting ready to just take his life. And then he's just like, what am I doing? And he started realizing like, okay, if I'm going through this, then there's about another 1,000 more that are going through these transition. So as I started going through my transition, I started realizing like, a lot of businesses out here, they be in skill bridge or they want to hire veterans, but they just don't know how to bridge that gap. But most veterans that own their own business because they can't work for someone else. So they get pushed into, and I'll tell you this, every veteran owned business solved the problem. And so when I started, the more I started hanging around at the Citrus Club, then like I said, I was going to go back to being a police officer, and that's going to be it. I'm just going to retire, another retirement and all that. And then something just changed, being around the Citrus Club business owners and realizing like, okay, I can do that. I can do something myself. I don't have to go back and work for someone else. So when I started going to FAVOB and started realizing like, okay, these are all business owners. And then more with the camaraderie, because you can meet another veteran, the next thing you know, it's like 2 hours later, he's still chit chat, right? So as the more we started talking about it, we more started realizing like, okay, how can I, be around this organization and help this organization in the sense of veterans that are coming out and saying, okay, I need more employees, or I need to work, or just, hey, I need some help, right? I'm running this business, and veterans, we don't like to ask for help.
No.
So when I got into the organization, I said, okay, for me, I want to reach out to every member and say, hey, I want you to start saying, okay, hey, Greg, this is what I need, man. I'm having trouble. Like I was talking to one veteran this morning. He's like, you know what? I would like to get in front of more soldiers that has TSP and, show them how to, stretch their TSP out so they can have retirement money. Because most of us, we get into this mode of that paycheck every month, and we don't think one day it's going to stop.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I think FAVOB, the positivity I see from FAVOB, that I tell them, I said, look, I'm fired up about it. So you want to use me now, right? I want to use that time now that I'm fired up and I want to do everything in the world, right? But I have to channel it in the right way. And FAVOB is allowing me to go and meet different people and learn what the issues are, so I can bring it over here to this one and say, hey, this person is having a problem. Like I had one guy call me last week and say, hey, we have some boxes that we want to give to soldiers overseas, but I don't know where to go. I got you. So I just go to a unit and say, hey, you guys have soldiers that are deployed. Let me get some addresses and some names, and we'll send some stuff over. One of the soldiers just texted me on WhatsApp a couple of days ago, say they got the package, right? Amazing. So those are the things that I think me as a connector is what I consider myself now, is I can bridge different gaps. I have relationships with all the reserve units around here. I still got connections with recruiters all around, right? Because I was in Las Vegas I do a lot of things in those sense. So I think what I have to offer FAVOB is just that soldier that's coming out, or sailor or airman that coming out and saying, man, I don't know what to do, but I have an idea. Okay, I got you.
I love that. I love the energy. The FAVOB is, to me, a great resource that we need to. I want to get the word out more.
Yep.
And you don't have to be a veteran to be a member of FAVOB. So if you've got a service and interested in giving back, if you want to try to help veteran-owned businesses, I highly encourage you to look at membership, which I'll put that link below too.
Okay.
So you guys can check that out. As we wrap up, Greg, this show is called Heroes Always Welcome. So I always love to ask the guests, when I say the word hero, who's the first person that comes to mind for you?
My mom.
Tell me why your mom.
So my mom is, like I said, I'm the youngest out of 5 boys, and being born in Jamaica and the time that I spent in Jamaica, you know, being now, like my mom was able to bring my 2 oldest brother up, and then 4 years later, she brought the rest of us up. And then going through, you know, seeing her work 2 jobs, just trying to make ends meet, going through that process, and never, ever once complain about anything. And she would always tell me, she says, Greg, don't waste the opportunity, right? Because we didn't know what opportunity we have, right? We just running through school thinking, whatever, no thought process at all. And then to me now, like even when I did my retirement at the Citrus Club, I said to her, I said, you know, the biggest thing is all those butt whoopings was worth it, right? Because I needed every single one of them, because I was acting crazy, going different ways. But to see where I'm at now and to be able to have her still be around and seeing where she came from to where she is now, man, no, she never complained. I'll call and complain all day long, and she would say, you know what, whether it's financial or whatever I'm going through, she says it's just a season, right? Yes. It's just a season. So my whole career, how my energy, everything you see is because I'm grateful, right? I'm grateful because it can always be worse. But I see what my mom went through, and I'm like, bring it, whatever you bring in.
Well, God bless her. 5 boys. Lord.
Yeah. No girls.
Oh, my God. God bless her. All right, Greg, you're amazing. Yeah. Tell us how they can reach you. What's the best way to find more about you?
Best way to reach me is IG. My IG's flashing below, US Army _Henry. I'm on the FAVOB also. You can see the dates that we're doing in Orlando. If you get on to or just go into the FAVOB, and you can always reach out to Ted and try to get a hold of me if you want to. But I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Yes. And I think that's what I'm here to do until it's just that time to go. I
love it. You're a blessing, my friend. I hope you know that. I absolutely loved having you on the show. Come back on anytime. And I have an idea for a FAVOB show, so we'll talk about that too.
Yes, sir.
You guys reach out to Greg. You can find him on Instagram there, or if you really need to get in touch with him, I can get you to him. And you can also check out FAVOB. They have a Facebook page. You can go to favob.org, or I forget what the actual website is, but I'll put that below as well. Thanks for being on the show, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
It was painless.
I know.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Talk soon. Bye.